What's up guys and welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we are going to be previewing and looking ahead to every upcoming UFC card that is somewhat booked, right? Like there's a few straggling cards in September that have had like one fight announced. I believe we just had Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia announced for the Noche card on September 12th. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cards that at least have a bit of shape to them. Cards that you can sort of look at and get a vague idea. These are kind of main cardish fights. We got the main event, this is what we're kind of looking at. So yeah, these are the cards we're going to be looking at. How many are there on the books, I believe? So there's Baku, there's 317, there's Nashville, there's 318, there's the two Apex cards, there is UFC 319, and then there's the Shanghai card. So we have 8 cards featured in this video that I would say are relatively booked. Like, that I would consider somewhat, like, more than half built cards. I'll call it that. And yeah, we're going to be ranking all of them, previewing them, grading the cards as well, because everyone and their fucking mother is dropping videos complaining about the upcoming UFC schedule, and rightfully so. A lot of it is a little bit underwhelming, especially the pay-per-view portion. Notably 318 and 319. I am not a complainer of 317. I think that card is very decent, very solid. Obviously lost Costa Kopilov, but 318 and 319 are the ones drawing criticism with just an extreme lack of depth. And what I'm going to be doing as well, just to give you a heads up, is sort of grading on a curve, because there's no way that I can compare Dricus Hamzat to an Apex card, right? But to sort of balance it out, we're kind of thinking like, alright, this is a pay-per-view offering. They are expecting people to pay money for this, whereas this is just an Apex card. So yeah, we're going to be kind of balancing it out with those sorts of aspects, like Fight Night card compared to Apex card compared to pay-per-view. What should really be the expectations compared to how much they're delivering. And yeah, I know Guru's dropped his video. I know Lucas, I think, has dropped like 12 videos in the last week about different cards, saying how they're all shit. So, I mean, again, and also people talking about the Abu Dhabi card, which is like overly stacked, which is true, and it would be much better if we could balance out the cards, but at this point, I'm not even going to complain about the Abu Dhabi cards. It is what it is. It's fucking oil money. Like, it's just been happening for the last few years. This isn't new. This isn't a new revelation that the Saudis and the Abu Dhabis are just forking out cash for site fees to get UFC events. And for some reason, everyone's still, like, thinking this is some new thing. Yeah, cool. We got a stacked card, bro. And then we got we got 318s mid the week before, and the Apex cards or whatever, and 319s mid the month after. But it's free television. Like, free television, we're getting a stacked Fight Night. Who gives a fuck, bro? Like, these things are rare. Just take them when we get them, honestly. But anyway, 3-minute intro. Let's shut the fuck up and get into the video. So, we're going to start off with UFC Apex August 9th, headlined by Anthony Fluffy Hernandez vs Roman Dolidze, which is a good main event, and the co-main event of Perez vs Erceg is also good. This is a good 1-2 punch for an Apex card, We're lucky in big 2025 we're not getting Erceg versus fucking Perez as a main event, in the Apex. So, I consider that a good main and co-main, but the thing is with UFC is they do this thing where they make a decent main and co-main. Like, for instance, my elite ball knowledge, otherwise known as autism, can recall UFC Fight Night Dolidze versus Amavov, which had a co-main event of Drew Dober, Renato Moicano. And then I believe the feature fight was some bullshit like fucking Aliashkab Kizraev versus whoever the fuck he fought, it ended in an eye poke in like 2 seconds. Or some bullshit like that. So like the quality of these, or probably had just a crazy guess, it probably had a fucking Rodolfo Vieira feature fight. Like, these cards drop off a fucking cliff. That's nothing new. We've just come to expect that. So these Apex cards, you're not going to get stacked Apex cards. It just doesn't fucking happen. So at this point, like, our best issue is just like, alright, we got the main and co-main, can't complain about that, and then as you can see, the next couple fights on the card are fucking dismal. I'll read them out now, let me just find it, let me just pull that up. Hey Jamie, pull up UFC fucking Apex August 9th. Let's see if I can find the card in un momento. My computer's very slow to load. Alright, this card here, we got C-Rod vs Feely, not bad. Yasmin Lucindo vs Angela Hill, you got your compulsory Angela Hill Apex fight. You got Gene Matsumoto versus Miles Johns, solid fight. And then we absolutely fucking plummet off a cliff to Jocelyn Edwards versus Myra Bueno Silva Eric Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan, Gabriela Fernandez versus Julia Stoliarenko. Elijah Smith's actually not bad, fighting Toshio Mikazama. That should be fun. And then Julius Walker versus Rafael Sequeira. Those two are going to go chrome for chrome, have a fucking goof off. That's 10 fights. So expect 2 or 3 more fights on this card. And I can't imagine the UFC is really putting their brain power together to try and figure out how they can stack this Apex card further. So, yeah, August 9th, we got back-to-back Apex cards. The week before is good, which I'll actually discuss in a sec. But, yeah, not a lot being offered outside the main and co-main of this card. Anyway, let's keep it moving on to the next one. Next up, also just have to mention, I did just check. And yes, there was an Aliashkab Kizraev fight on that fight night with the Judo, with Judoba and Amavov and shit. That's actually unbelievable ball knowledge. Any other fucking MMA YouTuber is not pulling that out of their bag. And also, you know how I said Rodolfo Vieira feature fight? I was close. He was on the card the week after. My bag is deeper than all these creators, but none of these YouTubers are remembering this shit, bro. Go ask fucking Lucas Tracy to remember the feature fight of fucking UFC Apex Amavov versus fucking Dolidze, bro. Bedtime ain't pulling an Aliashkab Kizraev fucking main card opener out of his bag, dude. That's not happening. So I'm the number one hardcore in this space, trust. Anyway, let's move on though to the next card. And I believe it is UFC Nashville. UFC Nashville, again, I can't even see my screen right now. I'm just recording audio. But UFC Nashville. This card is quite mid, to say the least. Again, the main event is just awful. Like, I do think these fights will be fun. So if you're asking me to rank this in terms of, like, execution, like, will this turn out to be a fun card? I would almost hazard a guess and say you're going to have more fun watching UFC Nashville by the end of it than you're going to have watching UFC Abu Dhabi. And the quality of those cards is fucking about as different as you can get. But it just seems the thing, all these Abu Dhabi cards are always retardedly stacked and all the fights go to decision. So do not be surprised if that card ends up being an absolute stinkfest in execution where there's stakes and there's high level fights. None of them are fun to watch. I do think this will be the exception because like you got Jan McGee. Like, you've got Whitaker RDR. Like, you've got RDR fighting. I just don't think he can be brought into a boring point fest. But do not be shocked if that card ends up being mid. Also, though, Nashville, Lewis Teixeira main event. Kelvin Cater, Steve Garcia co-main event. Wonderboy vs. Bonfim. Like, these are fun fights. These are not... None of these fights I would ever consider I would not consider Lewis vs. Teixeira a main event quality fight. I would not even consider Cater vs. Garcia a co-main quality fight of an arena card. That's a co-main in the Apex if you're putting it there. Wonderboy vs. Bonfim's, like, to me, that's like a featured prelim of a pay-per-view. Chris Curtis, Max Griffin's like a prelim opener type of thing. Nzejuku vs. Walker's like an Apex main card opener. Jake Matthews, Chidi Njokuani's like an Apex main card fight. Nate Landwehr, Morgan Charrier is actually sick. I'll be interested to see what they end up doing in the card order. This was kind of just me going down to Sherdog and just kind of ranking like the fights in order of like what I think it's going to be. But after that, it falls off a cliff again after those 7 fights, which again are decent. They're, again, fun. There is not going to be a single, like, we are not going to be having to adjust the fan rankings. The only ever real rankings right now on for the UFC, you know, the real UFC rankings, not this bullshit that the fucking UFC pumps out with Tim Elliott moving above Josh Fan despite not fighting since 2023. I do not imagine I will be having to do much changing with the fan rankings, and you guys will not be having to vote for many polls to adjust fucking Tallis and Teixeira's position to move up like 2 spots at heavyweight, bro. Like, there's just no stakes in this card at all. And then, as I said before, falls off a cliff. You got fucking Eduardo Mora, Lerone Murphy, Vitor Petrino, Austin Lane, what's the kid's name? Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez, and then Junior fucking Tafa versus Taco Tacos. Again, like, that's actually the fight of the century. So this card will probably be fun, and there are still seemingly at least 1 or 2, probably 2 more fights left to add. We'll see what happens there. But again, cards like less than a month away. And we've got 11 fights. So, like, you'd assume it's main card's probably done. They'll probably just add some more bum prelim fights. We'll see. Anyway, though, as I said, I'm grading on a curve, but I can't act like this is better than a pay-per-view in comparison. Let's move on, though, to the next card. Next up, UFC Shanghai. Now, I need to wait for this card to be done, because I'd say this is like the least done, and we don't even know if half of these fights are confirmed. Because Walker Zhang Mingyang is like the 95% confirmed, or rumoured, but not done, main event. And then we've got a rumour of Song Yadong versus Rob Font. Even if that Font fight doesn't happen, you'd have to assume they get Song Yadong on the card. It would seem that getting your best male Chinese fighter on the card would probably be a good idea. We've also got rumours of Drew Dober Rongju. Just announced Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Solid fight. We've got already Lona Kavanagh versus Charles Johnson is on the card. Michelle Pereira, Marco Tullio just recently announced from a kind of small page. No one probably would have seen it because it's not big enough. But Sumadaji versus Kevin Borjas is also announced. That's a fun fight. You got for these fucking fat blobs, Nergajay and Saltibayev or whatever, Satibuldev. And then apart from that, I think you got Shi Ming. And then I believe you got, not booked, but you'd have to assume they'll get a Wang Kong fight on there. You'd have to assume they get a Song Kenan fight on there if he's still fucking signed to the roster. Like, let me try and pull some fucking Chinese fighters out of my bag. You know, when we might be getting a Mahashate fight. We might be getting a Long Zhao fight on this card. You know, shout out Long Zhao. Shout out my Long brothers. But yeah, Shanghai, again, fun card. If we end up with this lineup, let me just say, if we end up with Walker versus Zhang Mingyang, Font versus Song co-main, feature fight, Waldo Cortez versus Sergey Pavlovich, Lona Kavanagh, Charles Johnson on the main card, Drew Dober Rongju on the main card, and then a main card open of Michelle Pereira versus Marco Tullio. That's a sick card. That's a banger card, and I know bangers. Like, that is a good card if that's what we end up with. I worry that we're not going to end up with Song Yadong on the card somehow, which would immediately mean that getting a Waldo Cortez co-main event would absolutely fucking ruin the card. No, Sergey's cool, and I like the Sergey aspect of it, but also, I'm kind of not trying to fucking watch Sergey Pavlovich in the co-main event. Sorry, I'm not trying to watch Waldo Cortez Acosta in the co-main. Again, as I said, Sumadaji Borjas, like, these are prelim fights. If we end up with that main card, maybe 5 or 6 fights, very good. If we end up with no Font Dober and no Font Yadong and no Dober Rongju, it's immediately, like, probably worse than Nashville. I'm putting it above Nashville with the hope that we get those fights there, and I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt of it's less filled up than the Nashville card. And it's a month after, so we've still got that's 2 months away. So I still believe that we can get some fights cooking for Shanghai. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. Next up, UFC 318, the first pay-per-view of the list. And again, grading on a curve, I can't quite say this is worse than Shanghai or Nashville or Apex 9th August card. But I can say that as a pay-per-view, this is unbelievably fucking mid. Like, let me just double check real quick. UFC 318, like, again, if we get a late minute fucking Gene Silver co-main, I take it back, the card's saved. It's probably, like, on par with Abu Dhabi, but just, it's a pay-per-view, so it wouldn't be considered as good. But Poirier Holloway's cool, but again, what's the stakes? Like, are we going out of Poirier Holloway, taking away really anything from either guy? Like, if Poirier wins, you assume he's retiring, and if Holloway wins, unless Holloway, like, puts on a fucking 50-43 masterclass and puts 500 significant strikes on his head, we're not looking at Holloway any different as, like, oh my god, he can beat Topuria in a rematch. Like, I just don't see what we gain out of this fight, and especially no title fight. It's just fun, but it's like, alright, cool, bro. And then, if we don't get that savior of a fucking Gene Silver co-main or someone else in the co-main, we're literally running a Vettori Allen or Costa Kopylov co-main. I'd probably rather Costa Kopylov in the co-main because I think it'll be more fun than Vettori Allen. But if that is the pay-per-view main card right there of Poirier Holloway, Costa Kopilov, Vettori Allen, Oliveira Phillips, Ige Pitbull. I'm sorry, bro, if you take Holloway Poirier off that card, and I guess you would then main event Vettori Allen, like, that's a weak fight night. That's an Apex card-ish. Like, that's a fun Apex card / a weak arena fight night. You're adding on Poirier Holloway, which to me, I'm like, I would say this is a fun, cool card if it was a fight night. I wouldn't even be blown away by this as a fight night. Like, if they were putting Poirier Holloway on free TV, I'd be like, yeah, sick. But I wouldn't be like, oh my god, this is some generationally stacked card. And then prelims. The worry about this card is it's fucking booked. Like, how many fights we got? We have 13 fights with Costa Kopilov being added. Basically, to me, that's like they took Costa Kopilov off because Costa was saying he was sick or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I guess we can just get away with 318 not having a co-main now. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Are they co-main eventing Brandon Allen coming off 2 losses in Big 2025? Are we literally getting Brandon Allen and Marvin Vettori both on, I believe, 2-fight loss streaks in the pay-per-view co-main event? Because if we are, that is fucking dismal. Again, if we get a Gene Silva Diego Lopez or a Gene Silva Arnold Allen co-main, card saved. That'd be sick. But, like, if we do not get anything else added, and you've got Ige versus fucking Patricio Pitbull on the fucking card, and again, God love him, Vinicius Oliveira, one of the most fun fighters in the sport right now, as a potential feature fight against Kyler Phillips. Like, if this was a Oliveira versus Cheeto or something, on Oliveira versus a Cejudo or a Figueiredo, I'd get it. But it's like Kyler Phillips. Like, I love Oliveira. On any good pay-per-view, something I would consider a good pay-per-view, that's a prelim fight. Like, Ikram Bruno Ferreira, fun. Magny Nelson, unk. Zellhuber's gonna fucking kill Michael Johnson. Dulatov's. We do have some good prospects on here. So we got Dulatov, we got Atiba Gautier. Prado versus Varetnikov will be fun. Kalari, Judice is like... Kalari had a sick fight with Godinez on the Mexico card, and Judice is fun. So that is going to be a rare, decent women's fight. Krut Prachnio is just mid as fuck. Like, well, I'm sorry, this is not a pay-per-view. Like, if we do not... If this was... Again, if you put a good title fight, you can get away with it. I just don't get much out of a Poirier-Holloway trilogy as a pay-per-view co-main event. Like, as a pay-per-view main event, sorry. So, to me, this is pretty underwhelming. And there were rumours of Gene Silva on this card, and it just kind of hasn't seemed to come to fruition just yet. Hopefully it does, but card's a month away. Like, card's less than a month away, I believe. So, yeah, it's looking tough. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. Next up, UFC 319. And yes, you guys might be thinking I've missed the Apex card on August 2nd. Nah, bro. I'm sorry. Comparatively, I'm literally less excited for 319. Yes, okay, if you're ranking individual fights as excitement, like, if I'm doing that, yeah, Hamzat Drikas is way up there. I'm not all that excited. Like, Cannonier MVP will be cool, I guess. Good chance that fight's fucking abysmal. And then, apart from that, I'm sorry, I'm not that excited to watch Kaya Sakura versus Tim Elliott. I'm not that excited to watch a potential Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose main card fight in 2025, dude. And again, another thing, this card is not all that, like, incomplete. Like, there is not much room left. There is 11 fights, I believe, on this card. Or 10. There's 10 fights on the card. So we got 3 more spots. Those all need to be main card quality. Because right now, to me, to my standards, and to what your standards should be, Duplessis, Chimaev, and Cannonier MVP are the only main card worthy fights. Tim Elliott, Kai Sakura should be a prelim headliner. I'm saying, this card should be Aldrich vs Silva early prelims, Andrade Godinez early prelims, Hernandez Hooper early prelims, GM3 McCall early prelims. Brian Battle vs Ruzaboev, Green Ferreira, Barboza Close, Asakura Elliott. Those should be regular prelims in whatever order. And then the main card should be Drikas Chimaev, a good co-main, Cannonier MVP, and then 2 other fights. We need 3 more main card quality fights because, maybe 2 more minimum. Because, again, apart from Asakura, like, MVP Cannonier, cool, right? Main event, whatever, that's also good. Asuka Elliott can pass on the main card, it's acceptable. Asuka will be fun. If we get anything less than 2 more main card quality fights, even if we just get a good co-main, but we're still running a fucking Bobby Green main card appearance in August of 2025, that is just not acceptable. And now the card is decent, but am I hyped for Hernandez versus Chase Hooper? No. Am I hyped for fucking Barboza versus Close? No, not really. It'll be fun. But I'm not that invested in any of these fights other than Dricus Hamzat, and then I guess seeing if MVP can make a bit of a run at middleweight. So again, I do fully anticipate us to get a good co-main, because I think they literally said that Cannonier MVP is the feature fight. So that they're gonna have a co-main. So again, this will go up, but right now, as it sits, by the time you watch this video, who knows? Maybe they've just fucking announced I don't know, Yuri versus Olberg or some shit on the card. But I just can't see this card getting levels better because the UFC just doesn't ever seem to care. Watch us get 2 more fight announcements for this card. They're both unranked fights. We'll get some fucking blob heavyweight fight, and we'll get a women's flyweight fight or some bullshit like that. I don't know. We need good fights on this card, because I guess they're just trying to say, oh, Dricus Hamzat's the selling point. You can't. This isn't boxing, bro. You can't just one fight selling point this shit. People ain't buying cards for one fight anymore. This ain't Khabib Conor. This isn't Conor McGregor. This isn't Brock Lesnar. You're not selling pay-per-views with one fighter or with one fight at the top. It's not how it works. You're selling pay-per-views for $80. People don't want to buy them if you're putting up fucking Edson Barboza, Drakkar Klose on the main card. I'm not buying that shit if it's Drakkar. If Drakkar Klose is on the main card in 2025, I am not coming off a loss to Joel Alvarez. Let me tell you, kid. Yeah, this is not good enough. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. Next up, we finally got to it. UFC Apex August 2nd. If you've been following along with my community page, where I post endless shit, and I'm basically your source for news, because a lot of you guys don't use Twitter or Instagram. Most of you use Instagram, but a lot of you don't get the niche shit. A lot of you don't get the fight announcements outside the ones that Big Marcel's posting. The early fight rumors, the signings, the this shit, the that shit. I get all that, and I get that info too. And I've been keeping you guys up to date with UFC Vegas, probably 109 or some bullshit, on August 2nd. Because let me tell you about this kid. Let me tell you about this fight card. This kid's badass. 6 fights. Actually a good card for the Apex. Good Apex card. With still more spots to go. There's 10 fights on the card, assuming, and there's rumors, just rumors. I don't think it'll end up coming to fruition, but if it does, and we get Joel Alvarez, Grant Dawson, which was thrown around as a fight on this card, this is literal arena fight night quality card. Tatsuro, and better than Nashville. It already is, but better than a Nashville, clearly better than even almost Baku if it gets Joel Alvarez versus Grant Dawson or anything like that. I'd say it's probably more likely to just keep Grant Dawson on the card if he is looking to get that fight. But Tyra versus Albazi is the main event. I'm intrigued. I want to see Tyra back. He's good in my books as a fighter to watch. He's not irrelevant to me. Bakoa versus Finney is and should be one of your top 5 or 10 favourite and most anticipated fights of the year. The build to this, the fight companion reaction when we watch this card together, because we got lots of my boys on this card, Bakoev, another guy, Mateusz Rambetsky as well, fighting Chris Duncan, badass fight, kid, let me tell you. Why are we relegating Mateusz Rebecki? And also next kid, hey, let me talk about this kid, Kevin Vallejos. Kid's a fucking savage. I don't know why why are we relegating Rebecki, Bakoev, and Kevin Vallejos, 3 of the most fun unranked fighters in the sport right now, 3 of the most intriguing, exciting fighters to watch outside the top 15, and we're fucking relegating them all to the Apex. Another one, Andre Lima as well, undefeated prospect, absolutely beat the piss out of Daniel Perez in his last fight, looking like a problem at 125. Let's give him a step back against fucking Felipe Bunes and keep him in the Apex. And then the prelims are not great, but even Bashi versus Francis Marshall, a lot of people have been saying I look like Austin Bashi. Obviously, we lost our debut, but we have been working just more than just fucking shit takedowns and attempts at jiu-jitsu sequences. And we will be coming with improved striking against Francis Marshall. Good fight, and then it's fucking Carol Rosa. I meant to say Rosa, not Rose, versus Nora Cornell. Rodolfo Vieira, as mentioned previously in this video, versus Trayshawn Gore. That just seems like a fight that would have happened. Ketlin Souza versus, I believe that would be Piera Rodriguez, I would assume. I don't even know the first names. There's a lot of Rodriguez's. And then there's, what's the bum's name? Klein. The guy that fought Malik. I don't even, Nick Klein or something, I think his name is. Versus Andre Pulayev, who's a bum. So, yeah, that's what that card's looking like. Prelims are pretty dismal, but if we get one more good fight on there, that is an unbelievable Apex card. Like, I will be very much... And again, this is personal bias too. Not all of you are going to be looking as forward to Bakoev and Rebecki and Vallejos as I am, and Andre Lima. But this card's got my boys. As in, you see them all on the left side. All of those are the people that we will be supporting, and even as far down to Bashi Marshall. Those top 7, or sorry, those top 6 are all fighters that we'll be supporting. Anyway, let's move on to the next card. Next up, UFC Baku, taking place in fucking Azerbaijan in about 24 hours time, probably by the time you're watching this video, maybe less. Baku, good card, very good card. Grading on a curve, it's better than the pay-per-view offerings that we've got, honestly, to me. If we scroll through it now, I'll read out the fights. I could probably even just name them off the top of my head. But Roundtree Hill, sick fight. Bahamonas Fiziev, sick fight. Blades Kuniev, interesting. All by Masayev, sick fight. Sadikov Mod is going to be fun as hell. Naimov vs. Grad should be cool. Elliott vs. Ko. Nerdia vs. Park, and then it's the bottom, and then Ulanbekov Maxim's cool, but then those other 3 are mid, with the heavyweight blobs and the 2 women's fights. You know, that's like, those prelims are getting real Apexy, down the bottom there with I like Park, but he's a real Apexy kind of all-star. And then you got 2 unranked women's fights, and plus a blob heavyweight matchup outside the rankings, so very, very Apexy prelims, but I would say I'm very much looking forward to the top 7 fights on this card. Elliott vs. Ko upwards, because Elliott's cool, but realistically the top 6, and if we're talking like hype, the top 4, I'm hyped for Oral by Masayev. I don't know what to expect from that, because as much as I'm picking Masayev and I think he should, Oral by, and he should win and show levels, Masayev is powerful and dangerous on the feet, and Oral by has been cracked and dropped. So, it's interesting fights. All of them are interesting. I won't talk as much about this card because I've done my picks video, which you guys should go watch after this. But yeah, fights are sick. Bahamonas Fiziev is genuinely a top 5 most anticipated fight of the year for me right now. Let's move on though to the next card. UFC 317, the one that everyone's been complaining about. I'm here to say, again, this might just be contrarian left lane. Everyone's just like, oh, you're just trying to be different and have a different take. This card is good, bro. Again, is it International Fight Week? You probably want to be expecting more, but I'll give them a slack. Again, they should have been more prepared, and they should have booked another fight, and they might. Surely they don't cap this card at 11. Surely we're about to roll into Fight Week, so I know it's crazy, but surely they can scramble together something on short notice at a catch weight, bro. I can't be bothered running an 11 fight card, but the 11 fights we do have, apart from one of them are good, or 2 actually, I'd say. But Oliveira Topuria is sick, Pantoja Kai is sick, Royval Van is incredible. Again, I got my boys on this card, you know. I've got Van, I've got Pantoja, I've got Oliveira, my boys. I'm not sure if Oliveira's winning, but Dariush Moicano is cool. Hermansson Robocop, good fight. Should have been on the prelims. It would have been. Costa Kopylov. I had no issue with that being a main card fight. Some people view the Cap Royval fight being lost as a letdown. I think Lucas mentioned that too, saying that he just doesn't think it's as good because he doesn't think Van's going to look good on short notice, which is fair. But just because it's Van, and I love Van, I have to even say it's a step up just because I am just excited to watch Van fight. Talbot versus Lima is sick too. Another one of my boys, Felipe Lima. Another one of my boys, Jose Delgado, fighting Haider Emil. So yeah, we got Delgado, Lima. This might be another one of the left lane cards. That Apex second card is definitely a left lane card. With Rebecki, with Vallejos, with Bakoev, obviously, with Austin Bashi too a little bit. With Andre Lima. This card is also one of mine. Oliveira, Pantoja, Van, Lima, Delgado. Those are my boys. Kopylov was one of my guys too. He's not on this card anymore. But this is a sick fight. Like, there's a lot of good fights in my opinion. Delgado Emil is a sick fight. I'm really pissed because I checked the odds and Delgado's a favorite. I thought I was going to get an underdog price on him. I thought people were going to wake up and realize. So I thought people would just be assuming that Emil's going to win. They'll be like, who's this Delgado guy? Because they don't watch Apex cards. But again, to be fair, Emil's only fought on Apex cards. So I was hoping we'd get some bias of like, oh, Emil's won more fights. He's a little bit more known. But I think people are smart and they know Delgado's probably going to win. But that fight's going to be sick. McKinney Borshev's a fucking highlight reel KO waiting to happen. Denise, I don't know who this Hines kid is. Denise was going to fight Fatboy Tafa. Somehow that lasted about a month being on the main card until finally they decided to get rid of it. Arujo Cortez, bit of eye candy, bit of a goon sesh, you know. And then Nico Price is getting fucking sacrificed like that goats in the Pacers locker room before Game 6 by Pascal Siakam. He's getting sacrificed to Jacoby Smith. So the card, I think, will be very fun. Like, I don't look at any of these. I look at, to me, if I had to say, like, rank these fights on potential for craziness, I would say, I think Topuria Oliveira has the potential to be, like, generational. Pantoja Kai's got the potential to be sick. Roval Van, I think, is just going to be sick, flat out, period. Dariush Moicano could be mid, but I think it'll be decent. Hermansson Robocop should be alright. Talbot Lima should be fun. Delgado Emil should be fun. McKinney Borshev should be fun. I'd say it's... and then Price is going to get killed. So I'd say Denise is a bit of a finisher too, though. So I would say Arujo Cortez is like really the only fight that I look at on this card and be like, yeah, that's definitely going to be shite. But anyway, 317 I still think is a very good card. Again, is it 300? Is it 299? No. Is it far off before that Costa Kopylov cancellation? No. Like, before Costa Kopylov, that's a one fight card. That's one fight away from, in my opinion, being better than 299. And a lot of aspects of this card are better. It's got a better main event. No one fucking gave a shit about O'Malley Cheeto if you were actually like a hardcore fan. If you were casual and genuinely thought that that fight was going to be competitive and it was deserved, then your NPC brain was like, hey, I like this fight, bro. Sean O'Malley is going to defend his belt. BSD Poirier was sick. JDM Burns was sick. Yarn Song was sick. And then MVP Holland was cool on paper. Ended up being kind of mid. And then Blades vs Almeida on the prelim. So that card was very good. This card's not far off, to me, with those top three fights. I think those top three fights combined are better than the top three of 299. But again, it's not 300, and again, it's better than last week's international fight week, I'll say that. So I like 317. I do understand the complaints, but I think most of the complaints just stem from this next card that I'm going to talk about and how good it is and being like, oh, we could have even better pay-per-views, which is fair, but still. Anyway, I think it's pretty clear the number one spot. We'll talk about it right now. UFC Abu Dhabi is by far the best card on the books, not even close. Regardless, this isn't even grading on a curve. Like, you can say in terms of which card has the best individual fight, you can probably lean towards 319 with Dricus and Hamzat, or even this card, obviously. But if you're ranking, let's say, the best 20 upcoming fights, top of my head, I'm saying Dricus versus Hamzat, Oliveira versus Ilya. I'm probably, like, to me, I'd put Van Royval, but, like, to a lot of people... But you get my point, in terms of, you're probably putting Dricus, Whitaker... Sorry, RDR Whitaker in the top, like, 5. You're probably putting Movzar Pico in, like, the top 10 if you're intrigued by it. If you hate it, you might just repel that fight and hate everything about it. If it's Yarn McGee, again, Yarn McGee, Mitchell versus Saeed... Gushkov versus Krylov, Almabayev, Temirov, Lial, Salikov. Like, there's just none of these fights. They haven't missed. Like, Aslan Alikana is, like, objectively the worst fight on this card, and it's going to be fun as hell. Someone's going to die. So it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, can none of... I'm sorry, I'm sure the Abu Dhabi's oil princes could have dealt with Bryce Mitchell being on the Louisiana card on 318. And I'm sure we could maybe donate Yarn McGee and get Peter Yarn on 319 or 317. And then bang, you still got Whitaker Derrida, you still got Evloev Pico 5 rounds co-main, You still got Shara Beriut, you've still got Gushkov Krylov, and you've still got Temirov Elmabayev, and that is still a stacked fight night card. And all you got to do is just give us Jan McGee on one pay-per-view and Nurmagomedov Mitchell on the other. And then you saved, and then immediately you've upgraded 2 pay-per-views significantly. This is what I mean. This card is ridiculous. I'm heavily anticipating us to get even more good fights. Wouldn't surprise me if we get a fucking Shamil Gaziev appearance. Wouldn't surprise me if we get a Renat Fakretinov fight on here. Again, not crazy good, but just would not surprise me if we get these type of just solid fights. I've just seen we've got two Polish guys that have just signed to the UFC. I think they were KSW champs or something like that. We've seen some other Irish/UK guy get signed. This other guy, Lucen Keita, I believe his name is, also being signed. So maybe one of them will be on the card. I'd assume they're all European. They probably get chucked on the Paris card because that card's got nothing on it right now. No worry, it's still 2.5 months away. But as I mentioned in my video where I did the card builder for UFC Noche and UFC Paris, there's not actually 12 or 13 individual French fighters on the books that on the roster that can fight each other. So they probably are just signing a bunch of Polish, Dutch, Belgian guys to just fight on that card. Anyway, though, that is my ranking of the best cards in the year. Upcoming this year, I should say. Sorry. After 3/17, that'll be the halfway point of the year. I'm gonna do a recap / ranking tier list of all the cards so far. And we can actually look at, not on paper what they looked like, but just purely the execution of the card. And yeah, apart from that, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your rank your top 5 most anticipated cards in the comments down below. Grading on or off a curve, I don't really care. If you just want to go straight up, doesn't matter about if it's a fight night or a pay-per-view. And then yeah, what are some fights that what cards do you just have zero investment in? Like and subscribe, follow the Instagram, Twitter, Left Lane MMA and all that shit. I got banned off Twitter again for saying something about the Jays, because free speech obviously exists on Twitter. Good little Goy Elon. Good little fucking Trump, moderate what everyone says, but then say free speech is part of the country. Good stuff. You can say anything else you want. You can call Palestinians scum of the earth and all that shit. As soon as you say anything about the Jays, they're on you. Let me tell you. Anyway, just had to chuck that in at the end of the video. That did happen, by the way. I got my tweet removed and I got a warning. Let's move on, though, to the end of the video. Goodbye.